Let's be honest, we've all been there. A person, maybe an ex, a crush, a friend, or even someone who hurt us, takes up permanent residence in our mental space. No matter what we do, their name, their face, fragments of conversations we had or wish we had, just keep looping. You try to distract yourself, you get busy, but like a stubborn pop-up ad you can't close, there they are again. You start to wonder, is this a sign, a cosmic connection, or am I just obsessed? Before you spiral into that mystery, know this: when someone is always on your mind, it's rarely about magic, it's almost always about psychology. Your mind is running a specific program, and today we're going to hack into that code. We'll expose the exact reasons this happens, and more importantly, what you can actually do about it. First and most powerful reason is the Zeigarnik effect, your brain's hatred for unfinished business. Psychologists discover that our brains have a peculiar bug. We remember incomplete or interrupted tasks far better than completed ones. Think about an unfinished project at work that nags at you, or a movie you never got to see the end of. That feeling of suspense is mental friction. Now, apply that to a person. An unresolved argument where you never got the last word, a relationship that ended abruptly without real closure, unconfessed feelings that you swallowed down. That person represents an open loop, a file on your mental desktop that's still unsaved, unsent and blinking. Your mind keeps circling back, trying to solve the puzzle, to find an ending. Until you consciously provide that closure, your brain will keep flagging this person as a critical, pending task. Reason number 2 cuts even deeper. They are a symbol of an unmet need or a triggered fear. Sometimes the person in your head isn't the real subject, they're a mirror. They might symbolize a core human need you feel is missing, like safety, validation, excitement, or unconditional acceptance. You think about them constantly because your subconscious sees them as the potential source to fill that void. On the flip side, they might activate a primal fear of abandonment, of being unlovable, of not being enough, or of repeating a painful history. Your obsession is less about who they are and more about what they represent in your internal emotional landscape. It's a signal, a loud alarm asking you to look inward and ask, what wound is this touching? What deep part of me is being mirrored or triggered here? Now let's talk about reason 3, which is incredibly potent and often misunderstood, the dopamine-driven cycle of uncertainty. Our brains are wired on a reward-seeking system fueled by dopamine. But here's the catch. Predictable rewards are nice, but unpredictable rewards are utterly addictive. This is the slot machine effect. If your interactions with this person have been hot and cold, giving you intermittent validation, a text here, silence for days, a moment of intimacy followed by distance, you've been placed on a variable ratio schedule. You're hooked on the maybe. Every time you check your phone, replay an old message, or imagine a future scenario, you get a tiny, thrilling hit of dopamine. The person themselves becomes less important than the addictive cycle of anticipation and uncertainty they created. Your brain isn't longing for them, it's craving the next potential hit. Reason 4 is cognitive anchoring, an associative memory. After a highly emotional experience with someone good or bad, they become a powerful anchor in your mind. Your brain, which is a master of association, then starts linking everything back to that anchor. A smell in the air reminds you of their cologne. A song on the radio is one you both heard. A phrase someone else says was their favorite word. Even a feeling of loneliness or joy can become a trigger. Each time you follow that mental link back to the anchor, the person, you strengthen that neural pathway. It becomes a well-worn automatic route for your thoughts. You're not actively choosing to think of them. You're being pulled down a familiar mental highway your own brain built. Let's explore reason 5, which involves our sense of self, the ego's attachment to a personal narrative. We are storytelling creatures. Often, we are not obsessed with the person, but with the story we've built around them. The story of the one who got away. The story of how I was wronged. The story of if only they would come back, everything would be perfect. This person is the lead character in a drama your ego is writing, directing, and starring in. Thinking about them reinforces your role in that story, the heartbroken hero, the vigilant victim, the hopeless romantic. Letting the thoughts go would mean the story ends, and your ego might resist that. It would have to redefine itself outside of that compelling, often painful narrative. Reason 6 is rooted in your past. familiarity and pattern matching from childhood or previous relationships. Your brain is if this person's behavior, the dynamic between you, or even the way they make you feel, resembles a significant figure from your past, like a parent, a past love, or a childhood friend, your brain files them under critical handle with care. You might be subconsciously trying to resolve an old wound. This time, I can make this right, or recreate a familiar emotional environment, even if it was unhealthy. The pull you feel might be your inner self mistakenly trying to return to a known pattern, thinking it's home. Now, what if the thoughts aren't painful? Reason 7 is inspiration, admiration, and aspirational self-projection. Sometimes someone occupies your mind because they embody a trait or a life you deeply desire. They might radiate confidence, creativity, freedom, or success that you admire. Your mind is constantly drawn to them as a living vision board, a template for your own potential. In this case, the constant thoughts are a form of motivation, but they can become a trap if you remain in a state of admiration without action. The key is to recognize that the quality you adore in them is a signal of what you value. The work then is to channel that energy inward and build that confidence, creativity, or freedom within yourself. Finally, reason 8 is deceptively simple but often the foundation. You have the mental and emotional space for them. In a hyper-stimulated world, true mental vacancy is rare. But if your daily life lacks compelling goals, deep connections with a community, or engaging hobbies that demand your full focus, your mind will fill that empty space with its most readily available, emotionally charged content. It's not always that they are supremely significant. Sometimes it's that your mental room is too empty and they are the most interesting furniture in it. Boredom, loneliness, and a lack of forward momentum create the perfect vacuum for obsessive thoughts to flourish. So, you've identified the likely reasons. What's the actionable plan? Step 1 is radical honesty in diagnosis. Don't just skim this list, sit with it. Which reason made your stomach drop or your head nod instantly? Was it the unfinished business, the addictive uncertainty, the old pattern? Naming the root cause is the first and most crucial step to disempowering it. It transforms a mysterious obsession into a manageable psychological process. Write it down. I am stuck because of X. Step 2 is engineer closure for yourself by yourself. If it's an open loop, you must close it. But the closure must come from you, not them. Write the definitive letter you will never send. Have the final conversation out loud, alone in your car or room, saying everything you need to say. Then, consciously visualize taking that open file on your mental desktop, saving it, and dragging it to the trash. Perform a small ritual, delete old messages, put mementos away. You are giving your brain the concrete signal it needs. This story is over. The task is complete. Step 3 is strategic pattern disruption and refocus. You have to break the neural pathway. This requires conscious effort. The moment the intrusive thought arrives, immediately engage in a cognitively demanding task. Do 5 math problems in your head. Count backwards from 100 by 7s. Recite the lyrics to a song, then pivot your physical energy, do 10 push-ups, splash cold water on your face. You're shocking the circuit. Simultaneously, you must begin the larger project of building a richer mental landscape. Invest in a skill, reconnect with friends, dive into a project. You're making your mind's room so full of interesting, rewarding, and present-focused things that the old, looping thoughts simply can't compete for space. Ultimately, you must internalize this truth. When someone is always on your mind, it is a profound message about you, not about them. They are the key, but the lock is your own psyche, your unresolved emotions, your unattended needs, your addictive patterns, your vacant spaces. That relentless mental loop isn't a sign from the universe about your connection to that person. It's an urgent internal memo. It's your own mind shouting for attention, for resolution, for growth, and for you to take back the narrative of your own life. Power to find peace doesn't lie in their next text, their change of heart, or their apology. It lies in your response to your own mind signal. Decode the message. Close the loops you can control. Redirect your dopamine towards your own achievements. Build a life so vibrant and engaging that your most constant, fascinating, and rewarding thought becomes the person you are actively creating, yourself. That is the only presence worth a permanent place in your mind. Start that project now. The blueprint is right here. Let's dive deeper into unfinished business. This isn't just about big things like breakups. It could be a casual comment that offended you, a favor you feel you're owed, or even a positive moment you never properly acknowledged. Your brain registers all social and emotional exchanges as transactions. An unbalanced transaction, whether in hurt or gratitude, creates psychic debt. That person is the debtor or creditor in your mind's ledger. The constant thoughts are your internal accountant trying to balance the books, until you either collect, forgive the debt, or write it off. The alert will keep flashing on unmet needs. Ask yourself bluntly, what do I believe this person provides that I cannot give myself? Is it a sense of worth, excitement, stability? Often we outsource our self-esteem or happiness, appointing another person as the keeper of it. When they're gone or withholding, our mind panics, fixating on the source it believes holds the solution. The healing begins when you start to become the source of those things for yourself. Validation must become an inside job. The dopamine cycle is tricky because it feels like chemistry, like love. But real, secure connection doesn't thrive on anxiety and uncertainty. It thrives on safety and predictability. The roller coaster of intermittent reinforcement creates a trauma bond, which is chemically similar to an addiction. Recognizing this is vital. You must go cold turkey on the source of the hits. Stop checking their social media. Stop asking about them. Stop replaying memories. You are detoxing your brain from a drug. And withdrawal is hard but necessary. Regarding cognitive anchors, you have to create new, stronger anchors. This is active work. When a trigger pulls you to them, you must immediately pair that trigger with a new, powerful thought or action. Hear that song. Immediately play a new song you love and sing loudly. Smell that cologne. Immediately go smell a strong, different scent like coffee or an orange. You're not avoiding the trigger. You're reprogramming your brain's association. You're building new, brighter neural pathways that will eventually become the default. To dismantle the ego's narrative, you must consciously write a new story. The old story is, my life is about getting them back, or my pain is because of them. The new story must be, my life is about my growth, and my pain is my teacher. Write this new story down. Repeat it as a mantra. Your identity must shift from being a character in their drama to being the author of your comeback. Every time the old narrative plays, consciously interrupt it and insert a sentence from your new one. For patterns from the past, therapy or deep self-reflection is often the only way out. You have to identify the original source. Who does this person really remind you of? What was the unresolved dynamic with that original person? The goal is to separate the past from the present. The person in your head today is a stand-in. You have to address the old wound with the original source, even if that just means understanding and grieving it within yourself. This breaks the spell because you see the current person for who they truly are, not as a ghost from your past. If they are an inspiration, move from admiration to embodiment. Make a list of the 3 traits you admire most in them. For each trait, design one small, actionable step you can take this week to cultivate it in yourself. If it's confidence, maybe it's speaking up in a meeting. If it's creativity, it's spending 30 minutes on a hobby. Now, your thoughts about them have a purpose. They are a catalyst for your own action. Once the action starts, the obsessive thoughts often fade because their job as a motivator is done. Fill the mental space. You need positive obsessions. Deliberately cultivate a healthy obsession. Learn everything about a new topic: astronomy, baking, a period of history. Train for a 5K. Dedicate yourself to a creative project. The goal is to get into a state of flow, where time disappears and you are completely absorbed. This state is the ultimate antidote to rumination. It teaches your brain that the deepest satisfaction comes from engagement with your own life, not from fixation on another person. Remember, your mind's habit is strength. It has gotten very good at thinking about this person. You cannot just stop a habit, you must replace it. Don't fight the thought head-on with, stop thinking about them. That only gives it power. Instead, practice the gentle redirect. Thank you, mind, for that thought. Now, back to my breath, my work, this conversation. Acknowledge it. Then guide your focus elsewhere. It's a muscle you train. Finally, practice compassion for yourself. This mental loop is not a weakness or a flaw. It is a human response to complex psychological stimuli. Beating yourself up for thinking about them only adds a layer of shame to the pain. Instead, speak to yourself as you would to a good friend. I see why this is so hard for you. That made a big impact. Let's figure out what you need to heal and move forward. This self-compassion reduces the emotional charge of the thoughts, making them easier to manage. In the end, the person who is always on your mind is a mirror. They are showing you where your work is. They are highlighting your capacity for deep feeling, your need for resolution, your hunger for growth. The journey isn't about erasing them from memory. That's impossible. The journey is about changing their role in your psyche from a central figure of obsession to a passing character in the much larger, richer story of your becoming. You have the tools now: diagnosis, conscious closure, pattern disruption, building a new reality. This is your mental software update. It takes time and consistent effort, but with each day you practice, you weaken the old loop and strengthen your own voice. Your mind is your home. You get to decide who lives there rent-free. Make sure the primary resident is the most important person, the future you, who is too busy building an amazing life to be stuck in an endless loop about the past. Start that construction today.